Have you noticed that you've got one hip that's sitting slightly up or a little bit further up than the other? So I'm not talking about leg length differences, although we get told that we have one leg longer than the other a lot, and I'm not even going to get into orthopedics and that side of things. That's a whole different kettle of fish. We're going to chat about what's happening when part of your back is tight that's pulling your hip up. It may also be because you've got a hip tilt going on, so your chiro may have said that you've got twisted hips happening. I've got a couple of things to show you to help with trying to settle those hips, because sometimes we're not a fan of the chiro. I've got nothing against them, I'm a big fan. Sometimes we might be seeing the chiro and we've still got this thing going on, and we want to know what we can do at home in between appointments to help with having these hips be nice and straight. Side note, if your hips aren't straight, then that can pull the rest of the legs down. So I'll just exaggerate it for you, but you'll notice that if my hips aren't straight, then my knees are also at different heights. You may notice in your posture photos that if your hips are up, your knees are at a different height and your feet are at a different height as well. May not be, but most of the time this will be the case. So I have some things for you to help with adjusting the lower back muscles to try and get better things happening with your hips. Tip number one is a QL stretch for you. Your QLs are the little muscles that kind of go along your lower back, attaching to your hips and then coming further up the back. Having one leg out nice and straight, and then the other leg, one leg bent and the other leg straight. You're going to either reach across with your hand. If that's a struggle, you can use a strap. You can also reach this way so that you're slowly falling. I like to sometimes just chill while I'm texting and hang out like this for a couple of minutes. If you've got a bulging disc or any lower back injuries, make sure you're chatting to either your physio or your doctor or someone else that you're seeing for help with your lower back to make sure that that's okay for you to do. Another thing to think about if stretching your QLs isn't helping is if your hips are tilting anteriorly forward, so you've got one side where it's coming, your pelvis is coming forward, it won't be this exaggerated. It could be due to tight quads, so I'll put some quad stretches here for you, or hip flexor stretches. And if they're tilting posteriorly, it could be because you've got tight hammies on the back of the leg that are just pulling things out of whack. So here are some extra stretches for you. Hope that is helpful.